Okay, everyone, we are back one last time for a discussion, a significant discussion, a huge discussion about something 10 years in the making. It is the final episode of Attack on Titan. The last one, until inevitably they make an anime OVA of the new chapter that's coming out next year, but it's the last one. It's the last one. And I'm joined by two very special guests. We have Mr. Elite RE.
Hello, everyone. I'm here. Crazy. Attack on Titan's over. What a sad day it is.
Indeed it is. And we have Mr. Jarkey Bacon.
Oh, it's me. Can I make a joke about it being called the final season, the finals? Can I make that joke? No.
I mean, I think you struggling to remember what it was called is joke in of itself, to be honest.
Thank you.
True.
I don't think it's that bad, honestly. It just goes up.
I think it's pretty bad.
It just goes up.
Wait, Bacon, what's it called? Go ahead.
It's Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3. And we're talking about episode 2 of part 3. There we go.
That's probably
that
a
would
much
make
better way of
sense.
putting it.
Yeah, but that's not what it is, Bacon. It's the Attack on Titan final season, the final chapter, special 2. So that's it's a bit weird.
Okay.
They'll probably
Alright.
reconvert it into part 3 when the DVD comes out.
Well, it's
yeah.
all part of season 4 on Crunchyroll. That's what I was looking at. It's not
That
its
is
own
true.
thing on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's just season 4.
On the
I
TV
mean, I know they call it the
database,
final season.
on the TV database,
but-
it's just episode 30 of season 4 as well. We need to
Yeah,
obviously
exactly. Like,
acknowledge a small moment of silence for our comrade in arms who's been here for all of these, I believe, apart from this one. Mr. Kyle Entertainment cannot be with us today because he's away.
Real
in,
1 minute of silence. Yeah.
He's away in the better Australia.
Oof.
Sorry, Harry. I think it's past. I think
It's a great place.
I think it's past his bedtime or something. And also, he doesn't have a car to record in this time, so
Yeah, so his acoustics would be awful.
yeah.
He's too busy. I don't know what. Like, it's the whales of the southern hemisphere. Surely, it is just sheep.
It is just sheep. Yes.
Landscape.
Yeah, they don't have many castles though. It is kind of crazy. Like I don't know if you were a Kiwi, like what it'd be like growing up, because you would just have no connection to the outside world, surely, apart from the internet, of course. But it is like so isolated. It's perhaps one of the most isolated, like large countries on the earth. Like, what's another one?
Japan.
Japan. But you got Korea right there.
That is
Like,
true. Yeah.
Like, to get anywhere in Kiwi land, you gotta go 3 hours, right?
I mean,
Flight.
doesn't that apply basically to anywhere in Australia to get anywhere? I don't know.
That is
True.
true.
My sister's
That is
currently in
true.
Australia
That
now.
is
She's
true.
not. She's going there for a working holiday for a
Oh
year.
wow.
Her first week there, she got food poisoning, so it's boding really well.
Amazing.
I thought this is, yeah. I mean, they just eat good food there. That's just what I know about it. Anyway, enough about real life.
Enough of real life. We're here to talk about something better than real life, and that is Attack on Titan. So, I mean, we obviously have to start with overall thoughts, initial thoughts. Ari, do you wanna kick us off?
All right. So overall, I think this was a really, really great episode. I think this is either is my favorite episode of Attack on Titan, or it's up there with Memories of the Future. That's another candidate for me. I really like this last episode.
I'm
That's
yeah,
it.
I'm inclined to agree. I would put, for me personally, it's From You 2,000 years ago is my top, but this is definitely top 5 for sure. I don't know exactly where yet, but it's definitely top 5.
Mhm.
It was excellent. And Bacon, similar sentiments.
It's
Going to
hard
be a
for me to say.
contrarian.
It's definitely not even close to probably my favorite episode in Attack on Titan. I personally thought part 1 of the specials was more intriguing because I watched them back to back, and I was like, man, part 1 is like, I'm really into this. I'm like, but yeah, no, it wasn't bad by any means. I think it's just like the story events themselves, like, it's so hard for me because I feel like I watched all of season 4 personally with like just absolute burnout from Attack on Titan. And then I was like, then I finally got to the part 1 of this, and I was like, man, things are healing. I'm actually enjoying this. Let's go. This reminds me of like binge watching for the first time. And then I watched this one. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, you know. But I wasn't like popping out of my seat. I thought some of the there was a few bits, but overall, good time. I'm not complaining. A fitting send off, for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of in the midst of sort of the opposite of burnout. I spoke to some friends of mine in our anime group chat who were very sort of they were just fed up that they'd having to wait so long for a single episode, and they felt the hype was kind of gone. And so their response was a bit more muted. Our group chat basically has barely lit up since that episode came out. But I was watching it at the time with a couple of other friends who, until a few weeks prior to that, one of them had never seen Attack on Titan, and one of them had only seen up to season 3. So I told them that the last episode was coming out, and in I think 3.5 weeks we managed to sit down and watch all of it in the lead up to it. So on the day of the release of the episode, we watched like the last 3 episodes of season 4, then the first special, and then we had to wait a little bit for Crunchyroll servers to stop dying on us, and then we were able to watch Special 2. So they got like a full back-to-back-to-back of like the final moments of the season, and they absolutely loved it. Like really, really, especially the guy who'd never seen it before thinks the show's incredible. Like, so clearly it is a really good, Burnout may definitely be a thing that can do it, because they weren't burnt out from it, because it basically absorbed the 10 years of content in the space of 3.5 weeks. So
yeah, I think this is, people talked a lot about the release schedule killing hype. I'm not sure if you guys have seen all the drama around. I don't want to bring in that much drama around like Trash Taste and all their like. Anyway, it's kind of like brought this up into my mind again, where I think for a lot of people they kind of lost interest because of this release schedule. Like when it comes out the end of Attack on Titan, like the season 3 part 2, it says the next season is going to be the final season, and everybody gets hyped. They're like, oh my word, the final season, that's crazy. And then they have to have the first part of the final season, then the second part of the final season. They're like, hang on, wait, it's not ended yet?
yeah,
And then we've got to have
that's literally
this whole thing.
That's what my friends were saying. They think the hype was killed for
But-
that exact same reason.
Yes, and maybe they could have done a season 2 where they just waited for a really long time, and did it.
I think
what they could have maybe done that is better is release these 2 episodes as a movie and just finish it off and be like, hey, this is the movie. We don't have 2 half episodes, and then you go. You can kind of get the whole thing in one. That would be maybe better.
releasing as a movie
but
does have
I
big risks though. In terms of potential audience engagement, I would have thought with the popularity of the Demon Slayer movie
True.
that wouldn't have been a problem, but I think a lot of people would have felt really pissed off, especially in Japan, where we've been able to watch this show every time it's come out, and now we have to go to the theater to watch the finale. Like, because a lot of it, I guess, will be based around how the Japan release happens for something. It's not just about how I guess we get it.
I would have thought it's like it probably would have had to release in Japan earlier. Then they probably wanted to do a worldwide publishing, when a movie probably wouldn't allow for that. It'd be a lot harder to. That's perhaps it, because I think even like I don't know, but like though they like Attack on Demon Slayer did like a 3-hour movie for the 3rd season, right? Like at the start.
It was. I mean, they didn't have the goal to call that a movie though. The thing for Demon Slayer was basically just like to celebrate the next season. They did like a little special, a worldwide special, where it was basically they stitched the final 2 episodes of the previous season with the first episode of the next season as just a big. They just sort of just smushed them together and shoved it in cinemas. It wasn't even 3 hours. It was like it was barely 90 minutes. No.
I see.
Yeah, because I went to see it and it was great.
Yeah.
Like seeing it in the cinema was great, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't trying to pretend to be like a movie. Like Mugen Train was a movie that they then split into anime episodes. But this was just literally here's some episodes that you're watching to celebrate the Swordsmith Village arc, and it basically meant that diehard fans who wanted to see the start of the next season early, because special came out like a month before the anime started airing again. That was their opportunity.
Yeah, I think one thing I will say that is like I'm glad that they definitely didn't choose the worst option, which would be to make another season, to make another TV, because all the animation in this I feel like was pretty good. I know some people go and complain about the CGI. I didn't find it that bad at all, or whatever. I thought like just in general, the fact that you had a good quality animation at the end that just kind of really ends it on a high. I thought that like that is much better. Like even just the character animation, particularly in part one, I thought you only have lots of those small character moments. There are a lot of good little bits of character animation which normally get pushed to the side when you are animating for a TV show schedule.
Yeah, there is definitely that.
Actually movie quality. Is it like movie level? Perhaps not, but it's close enough. It's definitely closer to movie quality than your average TV show, or even the Mappa's previous attempts in the TV show.
But it does still feel pretty solid.
I appreciate that.
Solid. When we were watching the rewatch, we were watching from the Blu-ray releases of Attack on Titan season 4. So part 1 looked a lot less janky than I remember when I was watching it when it came out, and part 2 looked really good as well. Like part 2 and the specials weren't that far divorced in terms of visual quality. So I think Mappa is definitely capable of doing that first time round. So you did mention not doing it as a season. I've been thinking about how they could have done it as a season, but without calling it the final season. So I think that the final seasons we have it's divided into 2 arcs: the Marley arc and the War for Parody. I think part of the reason for that is because it means there's exactly 9 arcs in the manga/anime, and Isayama loves his 13s and his 9s. But if we did split that further into the Marley arc, the War for Parody arc, and the Rumbling arc, you could make the argument that you do a normal season 4 part 1, season 4 part 2 of the Marley arc and the War for Parody, and then you split that sometime around maybe when the Alliance forms, or potentially just after the Rumbling starts, end on a fucking massive cliffhanger. And then you have the final season, which is just like, it would only need to be 7 or 8 episodes long, so you'd have less episodes to have to animate for, and that would be the Rumbling portion. And you maybe give that like a year's time. It may not work. The scheduling may be too rough, but that's how I think it could have worked as a show if they didn't try and insist on calling it the final season when they picked it up. Because
I wonder if they thought, if Isayama thought he was going to end it earlier. I wonder if there was like, they're like, hey, my guy, are we in the final stretch here? And he's like, yeah, I think so. But then Isayama maybe wanted more time, and then maybe that also contributed to the ending with the hashtag quote unquote rushed.
I think Mappa just bit off more than they could chew when they picked up the license. I think it's just that. I think they just didn't realize how much would be involved when they picked it up.
But who's the one? Yeah, but who's the one that made the call to call it the final season when it clearly like wasn't going to be I mean, how many episodes did they have for the final season in general?
They had 28 excluding the specials, which is longer than I think.
Yeah. Yes. Well, no, that's not even like a normal 2 core. That's insane, right? Like, so someone made an awful. There was some miscommunication where they should just called it Final Tackle, like Attack on Titan season 4.
Yeah.
And then
season 1.
I think that's what happened with like people were like, oh my word, Attack on Titan's actually ending. No way. And then when did season 3 come out? Like 2019. People are sitting there waiting and being like expecting the final season, and here we are 4 years later, and we've only just finished it after another 30 episodes, and 2 of those episodes are over an hour long.
Well, one of them's an hour, one of them's an hour and a half, one of them's 45 minutes, I think. So season 1 was 25 episodes.
It was an hour and I thought it was an hour and then another one was an hour and 20.
Oh no, you're right, it is an hour. Fuck, I thought it was. I don't know why I only thought it was 45 minutes. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because it like sets it up as 2 episodes, even though each one's half an hour long, if that makes sense. So not 25 or 22, whatever.
So they had to release the last 5 episodes as 2 specials. Yeah, but season 1, which was split in 2, was 25 episodes. Season 2 was 12. Season 3 was 22, and then the final season was 28 plus the 2 specials. So effectively 33. is how long the final season
which is
was.
just an odd number conventionally. Yeah, no, someone regrets calling it the final season, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, enough about the actual like meta.
Yeah, the meta of the show.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think maybe you guys should start off, and I'll chime in whenever, because.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, we started off obviously with the recap, and there was something I noticed, and I'm pretty sure, Ari, you pointed out on Twitter, was how they reanimated or improved the animation of that really bad shot of the Beast Titan.
Indeed. What a weird allocation of time. But yeah, it was great. It looked a lot better.
Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't fixed in the DVD in the Blu-ray release of the previous special, because we had the Blu-ray release of that as well when we were watching. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't fixed in that. But yeah, it looked a lot better, a lot more like it fit in. It wasn't like this jank-looking monkey against a really nice background.
Yeah.
You know what? I may have actually skipped that recap. No, I doubt I would have. But I feel like because I just got off watching the previous special, and I was like, oh no, they're doing recap already. No.
To be fair, it had been like what 8 months.
I'm already hyped up.
It had been 8 months since the previous episode.
No, totally. It's just like for me, like, what's the point of the recap? Oh, it's to get me hyped up. Well, I'm already hyped up. I'm already there. Like, I don't need to see the recap. Like, but I can't remember. Maybe I didn't actually go over it. I can't remember. So.
Yeah. So yeah, they all land. Something I got when I reread the manga last night. Is in the anime they allocate themselves a lot more thunder spears than the manga did. The manga, I think each character maybe had like 3 thunder spears on their back as well as the 2 on their arms. So I don't know. I guess maybe like they realized there was a miscount, or they just wanted to show more action, because there is a lot more fighting or active fighting against the 9 titans of the past in the episode. At least I felt like there was. Like, looking back, those scenes are, the spirit of it's the same, but the actual content's very different. Like when Mikasa shoots those 3 thunder spears in quick succession at the 3 titans chasing Reiner and so on. The action in general, I felt was quite different. Like the manga, I realized the shots were a lot tighter and framed a lot closer, which I think I do still prefer. The anime's a lot wider, so you can see like more going on, but I liked that almost claustrophobic feel in the manga of the fighting. I don't know if you guys have a different or
I think one thing that I do notice a lot is that when you have in anime, you generally get a better feel, and I felt like the same thing here, a better feeling of the surroundings and understanding where stuff is and what stuff is. You know, like the actual environment you're in, you get an idea of the actual location of things. And I think I generally prefer that. I think with the number of thunder spears, that's not something I would felt like was really like, because they've got so many characters that it's kind of hard to. It's not like certain scenes where it's like, oh, I've only got 6 bullets. I got to make each one of them count, and then because you know they got 6 bullets, you're like counting the bullets as they're firing them in the fight. It's not one of those moments. So not
at all. It was just an interesting little observation that I wonder if like they just decided, oh, we'll give them more, and that way it won't feel as, that way we can have them blow up more titans, and it won't feel as, but it won't be like people who are counting will be like, how on earth did they have that many spears? Because there is literally a line where they say, we're going to run out of thunder spears.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know if basically, yeah, I don't know if it, in terms of like the action itself, I don't like personally when I'm watching it, and maybe I'm not one of those people that
no, I mean I typically don't. It was just a little
thing.
Didn't
make that much.
It was something I noticed rereading the manga rather than watching the anime, to be honest. Rereading those chapters in the manga and being like, oh yeah, they didn't have the big sack of thunder spears on their back. They just had like 3 each clipped onto their sort of back plate. But I don't know. Ari, anything on the? I mean, we can chat about I guess the first encounter before they get rescued in general as well.
Yeah, I guess that's for me the the beginning of this episode is absolutely the weakest part. I guess when I was reading, I wasn't too much like I didn't really care about the Battle of Heaven and Earth from an action standpoint. So in the manga, I didn't really care, and I guess that translated over to when I watched the anime. I wasn't too like sold on that beginning bit. And I also thought, in terms of visuals, like directing and just like interesting things to look at, I think that first sequence for me was the least interesting of this entire episode. But I do think overall, like the rest of this episode, I think is beautifully directed, especially one montage I'm sure we'll get to eventually. But yeah, in terms of action, when they're still above the rib cage, I guess before like Bertolt shows up, it wasn't that good for me. It was fine. It was perfectly like enjoyable to watch, I guess. But when they got under the ribcage, I was like, man, this looks good. Like in terms of just visuals and stuff. And when they like come back and fight again, I'm like, this is all great.
Yeah,
But,
I'm inclined to agree on that as well. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's cool, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like when I was reading the manga, I really liked how close and tight everything felt in the manga, whilst the anime had a wider sort of shot, I guess. And I don't know, it wasn't doing it as much for me. It was still great. Like it was still, really good animation and really good anime. It just wasn't, compared to the later parts of the episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm also.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen. I've been looking at some of the Attack on Titan No Requiem, and like people have been saying, oh, they've copied composition shots from them.
It's been a while since I last looked at No Requiem.
I've got a whole. I mean, it is very like, at least the stuff I've seen is very tongue in cheek. It's not like, oh my gosh, they copied us. It's more like, are my eyes deceiving me? But
I see.
I thought it was kind of funny, and so it was it was kind of funny, and yeah. So while we're talking about the fighting I thought the fighting on top, it's hard because I don't know why, and it's tough to really pin down, but like, why are you convinced to get invested in some fights but not other fights when you know that at the end of the day, like, no one's going to die? I think to give like an example outside this is like,
is that a problem with us though,
like
as manga readers, rather than a problem with the? Because I mean, when my friends were watching it, they were convinced that Connie was going to die at some point, because they believed that Connie generally was the most expendable of the cast. So they were convinced he was probably going to die at some point in the fight.
Yes, maybe, but anyway, I don't know if I was like, actually, I can't really comment on my time with manga, but it's more like I was watching, I watched John Wick, and when you watch John Wick, you see action, but the action to me when I watch it is like narratively meaningless. Like, all you get from it kind of looks cool, but I don't care, because why should I care? Because he's not in any danger, if that makes sense. And I think that's like part of like my time. Like, there's lots of cool action, but I'm like, why am I like, I'm almost to myself, like I had a hard time almost being like, why am I caring? And I've had this with like multiple series, and yeah, I guess it's just like it's one of those things. It's like, as a writer, how do you get people to care in action when like, I guess you just have to have them really care about the characters, and maybe it's because I'm a manga reader and I already know what happens. But that didn't stop me from getting really amped up in the first part, and the second part when it's just lots of fighting back. Like, I don't know, like, it didn't convince me that it was actually hopeless, and then stuff happened really quickly in the end. Like, oh, everybody's transformed, and then that still almost feels pointless, because straight after that they just kill everyone anyway, and they turn back to normal. Like, for me, like, emotionally, I never was like I remember reading the manga and I was like, oh, that's big, and then we have the whole wait for
we get that month wait in between
the next chapter,
between finding out if Jean and Connie and Gabby were gonna actually get to live or not. I mean, the manga I kind of felt like it was fun, because I was like, they're not gonna kill Gabby. I thought they could have killed Jean and Connie, but I didn't think they would kill Gabby. So
yeah, to maybe even go more controversial, it's almost like I had spoilers for, I guess, Marvel Infinity War and Endgame. As soon as Thanos snaps him and they're all about to die, I was like, yeah, they're coming back. Like I remember people finding that quite traumatizing. Like, it's really cool. Oh, they actually killed all the guys. I'm like, no, they didn't. That guy just made $1.2 billion at the box office. They're not killing that guy. That's not happening. Like, that's where my brain went with it, and it's just an interesting phenomenon of, like, I guess on a wider scale. Like,
but I guess that's where we
how
have.
do you get people convinced?
Well, that's the thing. I guess that's part of the disconnect. I guess between like the situation of what the being able to get stuck in with what the characters must be thinking about the situation versus what we as the characters don't know they're in a film, so they don't know filmmaking tropes and so on, and just being able to meta game their own story. We're able to do that as the audience because we understand we understand about filmmaking, and again, as you said, if someone's making a lot of money at the box office, there's no way they're gonna they're gonna stay dead.
I think, I guess it also, like, the best way when I think about it is like making it so that even if they do fight, there are stuff that is still, like, death itself. It's almost like death is a bit of a cheap way to create drama. And that's not really like that true, but it's like if you rely on death to give you stakes, you're not using it as versatile like writing methods as you could do. Like, I remember for the same meta point, like referring to, like, say something like Arcane, where they're like, oh, these characters can't die because they're in the actual video game, and this character can die, or this character's dead because they're not in the video game. To me, I'm like, that's a fair point if that's like ruined your feeling of stakes. But for me, like, it is about the character interactions and their relationships that matter, or something like that. It's just one of those interesting things. It's like, I guess, maybe I didn't quite, like, I don't know if I've ever been a Connie fan. I've definitely been a Jean fan.
I mean, Jean's
Gabby
Jean's in my top 5, so.
Yeah, I mean, Reiner's my boy.
Don't get me wrong. Reiner is my boy. Yeah, Reiner is. But like the story had gone out of its way to go on and on about how much Reiner wanted to die. So it's like, they're not going to let him die. He doesn't get that. He doesn't get the luxury of getting to die because he's wanted. He keeps wanting it, and it never happens. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just sort of looking back over some of those scenes. The directing isn't. And there's some stuff that's a bit like, I saw one scene in particular where Jean's about to get bitten by Marcel. Fucking hate Marcel. And then Levi basically almost like teleports to save him. In the manga, that scene was a lot better. Like, it was just a close-up shot of Levi rescuing Jean from Marcel. But in the anime, it's kind of like this wide slow-mo shot, nobody in view, of Jean basically on the verge of being bitten, and then suddenly he's okay, and it just plays weird for me. It's like, I know the ODM gear is quick, but it's not that fast. It's like it again. These are minor points. It's just like little things about about the editing and so on, and just small what feel like inconsistencies, like how Levi was able to deflect the Jaw Titan's claws when we've seen that they're sharp enough to break Titan Crystal, but the blades can't damage Titan Crystal. So it's like, it's just that there's some little.
Oh, that's a good point.
There's some little decisions. That's what I noticed when I was watching it. I was just like, wait a second, how the fuck did Levi just parry a Jaw Titan when the Jaw Titan literally has the strongest material in the entire series as part of its thing?
Because Levi is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah. Levi is pretty cool. These are all the small little bits that, like, when I'm watching, I'm like not as plugged in, and I don't pick up on. But I do imagine someone picking on that. So that's
it was just these are just minor little things that I'm sort of like almost like hyper focused on unnecessarily. I'm just seeing the Bertolt scene again. I feel like the manga did it better. Like, his emergence from the maybe again, like, I think it's like one of the problems of translating. Like, you can have so much impact with just a single big panel in a manga, and it's difficult. It can be difficult to translate that into motion. Some things just look, things that have been designed to look good in a single panel, where the audience infers so much of it. And the audience.
I think it's also like when you've got the variance in size as well. In manga, like that's a massive part.
Yeah,
and you
for sure.
Can't change the aspect ratio. I think there's yeah, the culture around manga to anime is like so strong, and they just assume that um like one can perfectly transfer to the other just because that's what it does.
Like
That's what we do.
there's
We
so
just
many
make
techniques.
manga
Like,
to anime, but yeah, it's wildly different
like
mediums.
the
Yeah.
significance in manga of a double page, for example, of a double page spread is huge. Like it happens so rarely, and those scenes are so significant, and that impact just on it being a double pager doesn't always translate to the anime because the anime is always the same aspect ratio. And like
Mm.
the concept of page turning as well. I can't remember if we've discussed this before, but I think Junji Ito is really famous for that, where he always makes sure that his big stuff will happen at the point that you're turning the page. So if you're going to get like some horrible reveal or some horrible creature or something like that turning up in his manga, it will always be as you're turning the page. It will never just be on the just in the middle of a page sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that Urasawa was also very good at that in like Monster and 20th Century Boys. But sometimes I'm not sure if it's maybe the English books because they how they're packaged in the actual volumes or the magazine maybe like got the other ones. But sometimes I turn a page and instantly my eyes go to the other page, other side, and I see the review and then I have to read the whole other page, which that does kind of suck. But yeah, like lots of time, yeah, you turn the page and then there's the big face, the big emotional expression. You're like, oh my word,
Yeah, like
something's
a
happening.
big example I can think of is like the Warriors chapter when Bertolt and Reiner are revealed. The 2-page spread for that is you turn the page and it's Mikasa fucking carving Reiner up, and it's like holy shit.
Yeah. What a reveal. Man, I was watching for one of the best things to get me amped up for the Attack on Titan was trying to make those videos because I had to go back and get clips and I watched those scenes again. I was like, man, these scenes are good. I'm like, oh my word. I'm getting hyped up right now. And I watched them all in dub because I had, I wanted to get subtitleless footage. And man, yeah, I mean, dub slaps is great. I
The
don't
dub
care
for
what
Attack
people
on
say.
Titan does slap. I think it gets a bad rep sometimes. I think partly because I think a lot of that will come from the main trio's voice actors. I think they're the weakest part of the dub, but I think overall it's pretty
Mika's
good.
is not even that bad.
Mika's
Actually,
is
she
alright.
communicates well. Armin's is, I think, fits into the role better. The only time that Aaron's doesn't really work is maybe early on when he's a kid, and you're just like, man, this kid's got quite a low voice.
I guess,
And then
yeah.
at the end,
Yeah,
when
his
Aaron's like,
I don't know if
really,
you've seen
he's super serious.
the dub of his rumbling speech. The dub of his rumbling speech is incredible.
Oh, fair enough. I have not seen that. No, maybe I should. If I was really committed and I didn't just think about this like the night before, but I should have watched all of the final season in the dub. That would have been crazy good. Yeah, makes all the difference. That's maybe another reason why I wasn't as hyped on it. But
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. But then we would have got Liner. And
Liner.
that would have been a shame.
So
Liner.
yeah. So there's a scene now that I've just sort of come to, and I've got sort of just sort of as I sort of watch through as we have our discussions below the rib cage now, and there's something that it's reminded me of that I think is really solid throughout the whole episode. It's not even it's the lighting. The lighting choices are so good in this episode.
Yeah.
I personally think that that I actually don't. Who's the background studio for Attack on Titan? But generally, like the lighting they do for at least some of the stuff I've seen them recently, like even in Chainsaw Man. I don't know about Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Ari, you can probably.
It has the best lighting of anything I've ever seen. Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Let me say.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, that's because like in the Vinland Saga season 2, they're lighting the backgrounds as well by Studio Bamboo. I'm not sure who does it in this one, but like yeah, like it was like that cinematic and like they're like doing the camera turns around and you're just like, wow, this looks good, boys. This looks good. And it's like every time someone like, there's something about going back to like a Perfect Blue or an older cel-shaded anime where you're like cel-created anime and you're just like, that looks good, but this also looks good in a different way. And I'm like glad that the lighting technology and the composition has gotten really, really good.
I wonder if part of that is because there's maybe, I don't know, is there so much 3D that's used by Mappa that they can light it like a 3D scene so the lighting's more accurate. I don't really know what the production process is for Mappa's animation.
I have no clue.
I wouldn't know enough. That would be if I was thinking about how to set that up, if I built it as a 3D scene, then yeah, you'd be able to just do so much of that lighting with a lot less manual effort, I guess, because you could set up the lighting for the shot just in the scene, and then the only thing, I mean, you then have a reference point to apply it to your 2D elements that you're drawing on top.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't know what you boys think of it. I wasn't a huge fan of the anime's approach to the Mikasa Wings of Freedom scene. The come at me, bring it on.
In terms of story or in terms of visuals?
In terms of, I think, how it was brought about in the anime. So probably just the visual side. Like, I thought the dialogue seemed a bit awkward. Like, it reads okay on a page, but in the anime it seemed a bit clunky. I don't know if it's just the choice of subtitles. And then the shot composition felt a bit odd for it as well. I don't know if in the manga, I'm going to look this up, because the anime, you see more than just the wings. You see, like, Falco's tail and everything, and it just means that in the anime, you're looking at basically Falco, but they've removed his head and body in order to make it fit the shot, rather than the manga. I think there was just the wings, and it kind of worked a bit better.
Yeah, so I remember reading the manga and not even really clocking it, partially because not to say that Isayama's art is bad, but sometimes it's not super clear. And when I was reading it, at least I didn't catch onto it. And the people were like, "Oh, she's got wings now." I was like, "Oh, I guess she's got wings." In this one, I thought they did not hold on it for long enough for like to visually register. Like, oh my word, this is like a cool visual. Like they should have almost, maybe this is like cringe, but like in like older anime, like when they like change to like like they go from like the anime into almost like a painting, still frame for like a second, and they should have rather this but I didn't basically when I watched it, I was like, ooh, this happened too fast. Like I didn't really notice the dialogue changes or anything like that, but I was like, man, this should have like a big impact, but it didn't quite. Like,
yeah, it was just it felt like it didn't stick the landing. Again, the manga, I just had a look down the manga. The manga, you just see the wings, but they're more at Mikasa's waist, and I think that's because Falco's flying in at like a almost a horizontal angle, so you can't see anything above him apart from the wings. Whilst the anime, they tried to make it so that the wings were actually coming out of her shoulders, but in doing so, they had to make more of Falco visible. But it still doesn't make sense because you can't see Falco's head or parts of his, or more of his body, and it just looks weird to me.
I thought it looked fine. It was one of those moments that I was actually kind of hyped up. I was like, "Oh yeah, this manga moment is coming!" And then I like when you're a manga reader and you're watching, you're like, "Oh, how are they gonna do this?" And then it was like, for me, it was all about the pause. I think I was like, "Huh, I can see Falco there. He's behind there." But I guess that didn't. I didn't think that was. I didn't have an issue with that personally. But
I don't know. It was just for me. It just didn't. It didn't hit the landing for me, and I don't know what it was. There was a cool thing I did like though, and I'm pretty sure I think this is a thing. Maybe I'm sure I saw it when I was watching a reaction video. Actually, I don't think I even noticed it the first time. Where in the lead up to that scene, you can actually see Falco's silhouette flying behind the ribcage.
Oh really?
Oh wait, maybe not.
That's pretty
actually,
sick.
I think I need to rewatch it. I might be wrong on that front. I just rewound back there, and I'm seeing the absolutely amazing line where Jean tells Reiner that they're scouting regiment, and Reiner's like all sad and also happy that it's so good. Well, I saw a number of reactors cry at that scene. Like there were a lot of tears from a lot of the reaction videos this time round. I almost shed a tear watching this episode. I thought it was that great.
Oh, I was crying the whole last half of this. My God, I've never cried more watching an Attack on Titan episode.
On rewatch, actually, now that it's no longer that first time and I'm taking everything in fully, on rewatch I do tear up a bit when I see some of the scenes, especially in the latter half.
I'll be honest. I was not even close to tearing up. Maybe it's because I'm like not a real samurai.
You didn't have a heart.
Yeah, I'm not a real fan.
Okay, I just rewatched. I couldn't see Falco in there, so that must have been something else. Maybe it was like a fake video or something. Oh well. It doesn't matter. Still. I've been talking a lot. Is there anything you guys want to add to that scene?
I would say I think it looked okay. Like I think it looked well. Okay, it's tough because this was the one visual with Mikasa, with the wings in the background, the golden lighting. That was probably the first thing I've seen of this episode because it was in a trailer.
It wasn't.
It was like the key visual that sold that trailer that came out first. So that's kind of where I got the what do you even say, the emotional like reward was when I first saw it in the trailer. So when I saw it in the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the shot from the trailer, you know. And so in terms of visuals, I loved it when I saw it in the trailer. And in terms of story or like pacing, because obviously I agree it was much quicker in the anime because Mikasa has a moment, she gives her like short little speech, you see the wings, and then out of nowhere they're like, Mikasa, get out of the way, and it's like maybe all of 2 seconds or something. I think in terms of story, it depends on if you're meant to view that moment as a triumphant moment of like Mikasa showing her strength or confidence or something, or if you're meant to see it as a moment of she shouldn't be showing her strength anymore. She has others that she can rely on or something. Because obviously this moment is like a callback to when she did the speech in the Battle of Trust, like ages ago, like the exact same speech. And in that moment, it's painted in a negative light because she's like putting on an act. She's only making that speech because she knows that Eren is dead and she feels like she has no hope. So she's kind of like riling everyone up to like do the thing that that she wants to do, I guess, in that moment. So I guess for me, it's kind of like, I don't know if it should be fast or slow. Like I think when I watched it, I felt the emotions and I think it worked for me at the current speed it is, maybe more so than the manga. So I guess that would be my thoughts, but I don't know. Yeah, conclusion there.
Yeah, it's a difficult scene. I just don't know how to parse it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of like that you can have those two different things.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we can, if there's anything else from the first conflict on the spine. If not, we can move on to, I guess, when they're making their plan on Falco's back. Falco's Titan looks pretty good, by the way, I think. Like, we didn't...
Yeah, dude. Oh, like, I like...
The color choice is really nice. We know for a fact it now...
I like the anatomy of it.
Yeah. I think like, the skull shape... I like the
fact that his wings are so big as well.
The wings, the skull shape is so cool. Yeah, it's great.
I think it's just, for me, it was like way bigger feeling and way more almost realistic. This is a gigantic bird and it needs to fly somehow. It needs big wings. Like it just felt more anatomically consistent with like reality.
Yeah.
And I thought it was powerful in its imagery. And I was like, yeah, I can believe that this guy is flying.
Big bird look cool.
Even though he shouldn't be able to transform twice in one day when he's just my Titan law.
Oh, are you on about him transforming later on in the episode again?
Or something like that.
Eren transformed twice in the Battle of Trust, and that was a piece of cake.
Oh, you tell him, Ari.
He then did a partial transform later as well. I want to point out, Falco had a night in bed, but if we're talking about when he transforms after the gas is released, that didn't happen in the manga. That's an inconsistency, in my opinion. Because I saw people going, how the fuck did they get the net back on him so quickly when they transformed to fly away when the Titan gets... But I guess we can come up to that, but it was just a funny little thing. So, overall, I thought like the interactions when they're on the back of Falco were pretty good, just sort of, realizing that they didn't have any other choice, and Mikasa not even really being able to object because she knows that that's the reality. I saw people making fun of Jean's soy face when he's like, we have to kill Eren. It does look very different in the manga, but...
True. I think I particularly, I really like that scene. I liked that, I guess I forgot that it was really a scene at all. But I like the fact that Jean was kind of the last one to really say anything about it. Which is interesting because it's like, Jean and Mikasa, eventually they end up together. So it's kind of like, it's like a cute moment of like, even he, the one who like respects or likes her the most, I guess, is like saying that we have to do this. I don't know.
And the thing is, the fact that he's the last one to say it.
He's got a history there.
Yeah, when he's always the one who's always sort of had been the most combative when it comes to Eren.
Yeah.
But he's the one who looks like almost like the saddest when he has to admit that we have to kill him.
Yeah. And you'd also see him fight if you go watch an amazing video by Jarkey Bacon where it talks about a scene where they fight in it, which is a good scene.
Mhm.
One of the finest.
Fancy
Sure.
that, eh? Fancy that.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about Jean. I'm forgetting all these small little bits, but yeah, but it was very cool.
Well,
very cool.
we're currently 20 minutes through the episode in terms of our discussion.
Crazy.
Then we get the bit with
And
the
we're 5 minutes into this recording. Good grief! To be fair, this is like average length for a 20-minute episode of anime for us. So
yeah,
fair play.
We'll get that. I'm sure some bits will speed up because I mean we then get a bunch of boring talking between the Secretary Muller and
True.
and the Eldians. I feel like they definitely hung on that shot for a while. Like I'm literally looking at it now. They have this sort of long pause where it zooms in slowly on Muller's face after he's cocked the gun. In the manga, it felt so snappy. He just turns up and immediately bang, 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 and they're like, then they're back on Falco. Like, oh, are they still fucking killing each other? So yeah, a bit of dramatic pause there. And then we get Falco dodging a lot more arrows than he did in the manga. In the manga, he just dodges one volley, but in this, he's flying all over the place. You know, multiple volleys are coming in before he does that amazing sort of nosedive straight towards them.
It was very cool. I thought. I think it's just upping the ante for the action. They're like, hey, it kind of sucked if you only had to get rid of one bit of arrows. So yeah, like I think. It was very.
And then,
very cool.
Then we get something that I do think is an improvement on the manga. Reiner's fighting against the Warhammer Titans, I think, is awesome. Just like the first one, he kind of does this, looks like a cool sort of, and again, the inspiration from MMA, which is where Isayama took a lot of his character inspirations from, of like, he grabs him and then he sort of, does like a reverse grab and breaks the arm, and then he's kicking them off the founding Titan, fucking picks up the axe from one, throws it, and slices the head open of another. Oh, it's so good, so cool.
Yep.
It's
where the action got good.
Yeah, it's where the action started to get really good. And it's really nice to give Reiner a chance to really shine, because as in his Titan form, he's gotten beaten up so many times. Like, he can't win against Eren, he can't win against Zeke, he can't win against Thunder Spears, he can't win against modern technology. But he can win against the Armored Titans, the Warhammer Titans of the past.
Yeah, and Reiner getting all this. I don't know, getting a lot of focus, like with him grappling. The gummy bear,
Shining Centipede.
Yeah.
One of the greatest scenes in this whole episode. My God, I love it. We'll get to it, I guess. But everything about the Shining Centipede, I love it.
Yeah.
God.
Something I noticed as well, since the next bit that happens obviously is we see Peak doing her funny little run down the shaft of
greatest piece of soccer in this entire. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. I was like, hey, fair enough.
Sorry, what was that?
Get the kawaii run going.
Oh right, yeah, kawaii. So, an interesting little detail. Now, this might be a really minor thing that I've seen, is in the manga, when Peak gets stabbed, she in her human form is completely fine when she gets stabbed. But in the anime, she's spitting out a bit of blood. And I think that was just a tiny little detail added to justify why she didn't jump out and transform again immediately, because she had to heal that injury she was suffering. She's clearly taken a bit of damage, and she had to heal that first before she could jump out of her Titan.
I like it.
And transform again.
I never noticed that.
That's my headcanon for that. Because she has blood coming from her mouth when she gets stabbed in the anime, but not in the manga. In the manga, she's just kind of in there until they turn up again, which could just be a tactical decision. But the anime, it added that little thing that I think can, if based on what she says later, it just makes that little bit of sense, a little bit of extra sense, and I like it. Obviously, Peak's reveal that she can just keep going is cool. The way they handle that,
it's so cool. That's one of my favorite parts of the manga. I was so excited when that chapter came out.
Yeah,
and it lived up to what I was hoping for.
Yeah, just and I saw I think it was like a TikTok or something going like, all the other Titan shifters make this big dramatic show of like, biting their hands or slicing their hands, and then Peak just does this tiny little flick of her thumb across her teeth, and that's all she needs to do.
Yep.
And it fits with her character. Her character's cute. It's great. Peak's awesome. Peak's again top 5 character. I love her.
True.
And the really cool moment I've just seen as well. The really cool moment where she gets ejected. At one time when she gets ejected out of Titan, it's from like a back view, so you just see her jumping back. The wings of freedom clearly on display. Everyone's a scout.
Mm.
I feel like someone did a video about that once. What it means to be a scout.
Yeah, that was pretty bad though. So
it was bad. Yeah, it was bad. He's not even here to defend himself, so we'll just call it bad.
Yeah, definitely don't go watch it, everybody.
And then, there's the funny little scene where Annie's giving Mikasa a lesson in what an okapi is.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's I mean, I don't have anything to add about that scene. We just get to see, one thing I want to maybe do is go back through the anime and frame by frame just to see all the interesting designs they do for the Titans. Like just for the incidental background.
I feel like there was
Titans.
more in this.
Oh yeah,
or at least there was more that I ever noticed, because when I was reading through, I guess it was kind of hard to see all the small ones, but in the anime you can see them pretty clearly. They're like everywhere. It's great.
Lucky for us, we can see in 10. I've literally just paused on this frame where they're trying to work out where Zeke is, and there's a fucking elephant Titan. That's cool as shit.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
I'm gonna actually grab a screenshot of this and post it in the collabs chat, because it's kind of huge.
Good. I like the snake one. Maybe that was also in the manga. I don't remember.
The snake one that bites Levi is in the manga. Yeah.
Hell yeah! Awesome.
Yeah. So if you look down near Bertolt's left wrist, you'll just see a fucking elephant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This will be on screen as well for everyone who's watching at home. Yeah. So yeah, it's just cool. We got to see a lot of awesome Titan designs. We get to see Levi's sort of cute flashback with where he's like, Erwin, I made no regrets in choosing you, but I've not been able to fulfill your final order. Did you all give your hearts for this? It's so good. Levi's great. I love him. And
yeah, I think that's probably another standout for me, is that scene like on the back. He's having his little monologue on his own. I love it. We don't. Is that like, when's the last time we got a Levi internal monologue? Like, Jesus, it was great.
I think the last time we got it was probably right before Zeke transformed everyone in the forest.
Yeah, probably.
And again, it was a similar monologue. It was about Erwin and his final wish for his final order, and how he has to, and I think like the conflict of having to keep Zeke safe, despite the fact that he promised Erwin he'd kill him. Yeah, I think like the anime. I think so. I've been complaining earlier about the first fight losing, I think, some of that close-up perspective, but I think the second fight, it works well when they're chasing the Okapi Titan, because you seeing it dodging and weaving, and I think I think like the movement that we get from the animation over panel does work really well for that particular bit when it's like an active chase scene.
And you get an idea of like where things are positioned, which I think is just generally better.
Yeah.
It's it basically is. It's much more intuitive. It's much more easily graspable when it's in anime form than in manga, where sometimes you have to be like, oh, okay, now we're here, like, because you've not had the in between frames of like the camera changing perspective and stuff. So,
and then obviously we get Annie throwing Mikasa, which is cool, but then we get arguably an even cooler moment that they modified from the manga, where Annie hardens her ankle and just fucking drop kicks the armored Titan to save Mikasa.
Yeah,
it's
that was pretty cool. Yeah. No, I thought the whole like, oh yeah, let's like throwing Mikasa. It's just cool because it's like, oh, we haven't actually seen this before, but this would totally be like a thing if you wanted to combine your like powers together, basically.
Yeah.
And
I think the anime has been really good in getting to show off Annie's fighting prowess. It's a hard thing to convey in still panels, but Annie is like the second best hand-to-hand fighter of the group, behind only Mikasa.
And I think in the anime, in the manga, isn't like Eren like third?
I think Eren is third. So Eren was I think Eren was second in the class when they graduated, but that'll be because Annie didn't give a shit. But Annie is the best fighter of the.
Yes. Well, that was one of those things that in the anime they just didn't make it clear at all.
Yeah,
You
well,
just
because
kind of be
the
like,
manga, the graduation ceremony in the manga is so different because it happens straight after the Battle of Trost, or straight after the
Yeah.
fall of Shiganshina. They don't have the flashback, and I think it's like there's a scene where Jean and Eren are fighting, and then they're like, "Oh, don't they remember? Isn't Eren the bet? Didn't Eren score highest in hand-to-hand combat?" And then Mikasa just picks up Eren, and they're like, "Oh, maybe it was Mikasa actually." And then obviously later we see that Eren was trained by Annie, so Annie's obviously better than Eren. So yeah, Eren would have been the third best hand-to-hand fighter in their class.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I just thought it was one of those things like, oh, Eren's actually quite competent at something, which feels a bit different.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good. It's a good fight, and then we move on to what I think personally, in terms of like voice acting, is one of the best scenes in the episode, and that's Armin shouting at himself, calling himself useless. Yes. It's so well done. The voice acting in general across this episode is like peak for the series, absolutely top tier. But this is one of those scenes where it's just incredible. The delivery is so good.
Yep, completely agree. I think just all of Armin's performances, particularly, I think every time he spoke, I cried. You know,
God. He's so
I thought
good.
It was great.
And an interesting decision. I didn't realize this because it had been a while since I'd read the manga, but reading it back, they intercut this with some of the scenes of the rumbling that had been in the previous volume. And I guess the decision to do this would be these scenes are so impactful that if they'd included them in the previous episode, everyone would have kind of forgotten about them by the time this episode rolled around. So the decision to move them to this point, I think, is really good. And I think there's some really cool moments, like the fact they keep showing the same Titan's face in between each shot.
Absolutely.
Where it's just looking...
That's the greatest directing decision in my life. My God.
And like there's like to me anyway, I look at it and I just think there's a sadness to it. Like, because these Titans have no control, but there are still people at the end of the day. There are still people inside those bodies. So it's just, a true sadness. And then they clearly, the director of the episode had clearly been inspired a bit by Schindler's List, because we get the black and white shot with just the baby in red in color.
Oh, that was it. I was like, where has this happened before? But you know what? Actually, that was the closest thing I got to crying.
Yeah, it's
actually,
so
I lied
good.
earlier.
It's like,
I lied. It was and then I saw a Miller the Killer calling it pretentious, and I was like, you can go be a hater elsewhere.
I'm pretty sure the last one of these we did, Kyle was calling Miller a loser cuck, and I think it applies this time as well.
True.
Because that scene was great. I don't care. I don't care if it's pretentious. It's so visceral and it's so huge, and like that scene in the manga is like really rough to watch, but in the anime, it's.
Maybe the fact that it's like, oh, we're Schindler's List. Okay, maybe I can see that angle for pretentious, but like, it's not pretentious because it's just thematically poignant. It's like it's giving a new bit of information thematically to the series that is not being highlighted elsewhere, where it is like. It is easy to be this like cynical, humans bad. We hate all humanity. I'm gonna get really like, what is it? And anthropic. What is it? Misanthropic. There you go. And that like, and then you just have this moment where it's like, oh, this is just nice that people are being like. Linking together it's like
even at the very end, even though it might mean nothing because that child will eventually get trampled, they're trying to save it. It's huge. And also, as I saw being pointed out, it's that woman we saw actually earlier in season 4. They decided to reuse an existing character when Eren's walking through the streets of Marley or the Marleyan continent. He passes a heavily pregnant woman. And it's the same woman who has the baby. Same outfit, same appearance.
Yes. I did recognize that. Yeah,
I didn't recognize it, and then I saw people pointing it, and then I saw videos pointing it out. I was like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!" Because I don't think the manga did that. Maybe it did. Maybe I'll need to go back and and have a look. But I don't think I have that volume to hand right now. Oh wait, no, I might do actually, because no, I don't think I don't. Oh wait, no, there is a scene there when he's still going, "What would Mom think?" Is it the same scene? Is it the same person? It is. Oh, it is in the manga as well. Or at least they
was a genius.
Or at least they look close enough. Yeah, man thinks of everything. Except for Peak's original design, Ymir's Jaw Titan, Reiner having a bunch of magical abilities in Return to Shiganshina.
Alternate timelines. I don't know. God. All right, let me say the rumbling montage. I think it's probably I agree. It was really good. It's my favorite part of the episode, undoubtedly. Like when I watch reactions, it's the stuff I like look forward to seeing people react to the most.
Yeah.
In the manga, it was my favorite. 134 is like my favorite chapter. I've said that like a million times in these discussions, I'm sure. And that like rumbling montage is from chapter 134. And I was incredibly disappointed to not see it in the first part of this. What do you even say? Special, I guess. But yeah, I think it's perfectly placed here. Like after like Armin's monologue, I thought it was a great placement. I liked how much they added to it. Like there were a bunch of scenes that were added. Especially the one shot of the giraffes. Absolutely, it was so great. Just like seeing the impact of the indiscriminate impact of the violence of the rumbling, I guess, which was so great. What else? Yeah, the black and white, great decision. Colored, I agree with the color baby. That was awesome. Yeah, amazing. Probably my favorite sequence in this episode.
So I wasn't sure what you were going to think, because I'm sure, now I might be misremembering, but I'm sure I remember when you watched the trailer. I saw your stream where you were watching the trailer, and you were unsure about the directing decisions of that shot.
Yeah,
because they showed a snippet of it. So I was
incredibly cautious.
Yeah,
because like when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, there's nothing in here that really strikes me as visually interesting compared to the first like special trailer that looked really interesting. But I was so wrong. Like I thought they made a great. I think even the music is a big part of it as well. Like there was very sad music, or like very not even sad, just like emotional, powerful. I don't know, like whatever it is, it sells the visuals you're seeing very well. And I don't know, the lighting is also just so beautiful.
Yeah,
like so many cool decisions, and I completely agree with the eye of the colossal titan looking down. It's just such a cool directing choice. Like it's very different from the manga. There's nothing like that. You only see that visual once in the manga.
Yeah, but doing it, and it gets intercut quicker and quicker every single action, and then suddenly back to the eye of it again.
Yes,
and it's so big, and it's just
at times with the music as well,
and the expression as well. The expression is like identical to every time we've seen Bertolt in Paths. It's the exact same expression he has. That sort of sadness looking down. It's the same expression Armin had when he transformed in Marley. It's that look. There is clearly like a. They're always looking down because there's nothing taller than them, so they only look down, and there is just a horror. Even though their faces don't really change, there's so much expression being conveyed. It's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought just the montage in general, I thought was like. It's just one of those things where I think helps pull you out. Like it's such a good pacing tool when you are like really getting into the nitty gritty of everything, and you're like, "Oh, wait a second!
Whoa! Oh my god!
Am I verbally able to be heard?
Oh my god!
Absolutely!
Look who has turned up! Everybody!
I was in the middle of a great point there, Kyle, and you just ruined everything.
Write it down.
No, it's over. I'm gonna do Kyle and be like, oh no, I forgot. Oh, no, I can't remember that.
Oh, you've missed it, Bacon. You've missed it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I haven't seen the episode, so I can't say much. But
you haven't seen you still haven't watched the episode.
No, I still haven't watched it. No. Was it good?
It's great. You should have been here for our initial thoughts, Kyle.
Well, I'll watch it back later, probably before I've seen the episode, but that's okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, he'll watch an hour and a half review instead of that hour and a half episode.
If it was 40 minutes, I might have watched it by now.
It's like 2 40-minute episodes. You can do it.
Yeah. Should I split it into Elite RE? That sounds like a military.
Yeah, split it into 3. With the chapters.
It's got 3 distinct chapter splits in it. So.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like
yeah, they did that last time.
Yeah,
huh?
it's like chapter 1, chapter 2, and the final chapter.
Yeah. Was Mr. Odd the last person I talked to in here? Was the Battle Royale thing the last thing I did? It was crazy.
Probably.
Anyway, okay.
Apparently so. That's wild.
Oh yeah, Lee, should I see Miss Marvel or whatever the fuck it's called?
Is this where I give my Miss Marvel thoughts, or
Are we?
No, probably not.
Listen, I don't want to have to edit this video too much and cut out innocuous bullshit, and I'm not even cutting out that scene there.
You keep all this in. This is definitely staying in.
This is just
The
going
people
in.
need to know.
I'll be slapping some video. I'll be slapping some video footage over the top of stuff, but I'm not trimming down this apart from to cut the start off where we did mic tests.
True.
Oh, so this is going to the Mr. Odd channel. I see.
Well,
Or are you uploading it too, or something?
Probably not. I don't know.
Okay.
I can direct all my energy to getting Riker's channel to get views.
Yes. Put featuring me in the title. I'll get excited. But
True.
I'll retweet it.
Yeah, don't put ad Jarkey Bacon. You're not going to get any views from that.
Yeah. Well, maybe. How much? What did you get on your AOT video?
I'm almost 1.5. I think it has
That's
flatlined
pretty good.
completely though. It got a double spike. I got
I
two
think that
double adrenaline shots.
Yeah.
So
That's about what my ending video got when I first uploaded it, I think.
Not bad.
Oh, Bacon,
Not
I watched
bad at
that
all.
today. I was watching some of that.
which
You
one?
talking about it?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I saw your comment.
Oh yeah, did you see both of them? Did it
I only saw one.
the dick one or the other one?
Classic.
The other one.
What was the other one? I forgot it. It wasn't a dick.
Hold on. I'm gonna have to change my account now. Hold up.
Uh-oh.
am I gonna have to
enough
timestamp?
too long.
Am I gonna have to timestamp? Skip. Click here to skip.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
yeah. My one comment
like-
is I've only got one like narration bad, shake my head, privating in.
Oh yeah, that's that one. Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah,
I was
come
just
on, I'll
listening
give you a
back.
little heart. I'll give you a little heart.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't see that yet. Oh, there you go. I see it now. Okay.
Oh, actually,
Well,
oh yeah, no, I've got a lot of unresponded comments, which is just all your comments on my last one.
yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, Kyle,
I comment on things.
we were just discussing one of
Yes, I'll
one
get
of
out
the
of
best scenes in the entire episode.
here. Oh yeah, was it the Levi one?
No, it was not the Levi one.
We haven't got to that yet.
Oh, okay. Spoilers. I wonder if they
Okay,
did it
actually,
good.
Kyle, carry this. I need the toilet.
Do you have any
Okay.
predictions, Kyle?
For what I'll think, I don't know. What have I seen on Twitter? Not much really. Miller was telling me that the Trash Taste boys were arguing about it or something.
True.
But other than that, I don't know anything.
Miller was also
Oh, yes.
dissing the best scene in the episode.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
one was that?
So
That's a great question.
that's a great
Did I
question.
see that? I probably did. I just forgot. Oh well, I don't have anything to add to this, huh?
You could pretend you've seen it.
Do you want to? Are you gonna stick around for the rest of it, or are you just popping in to say
no,
hello?
I gotta. Yeah, it's like 11. What? And I gotta be up at 6 something. So I gotta get out of here.
Coming in to add clickbait to the title, derail the conversation. I'll keep your bit in.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
We love our special
Yeah.
guests.
Yeah, because I already said come in here or whatever. And I was
True.
like, oh fuck it, I could. Everybody's sleeping. I can go in the backyard and just pace for a bit.
Are you in the backyard?
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
Sounds great. This is just same quality as in the car, I guess, in terms of audio.
The microphone is not plugged in, but
Or in
I don't know,
terms
just
of
on my phone.
ambient noise, yeah.
oh,
Yeah, the
okay,
mic is not as good. Don't worry,
Yeah,
Kyle.
the
Your
mic-
mic is
yeah.
worth it,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah, so it was all $220 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Is Bacon back yet?
Not yet.
God,
Doesn't
so
seem like
close. I'm sick of Jarkey Bacon already. Get him out of here.
Kyle, have you seen
What's he know about
have you seen
Attack on
what
Titan?
did you see which background we went with? I don't know if you're watching what I'm streaming into the
Um,
Discord.
Yeah, I think I saw it was the. I know it's the back of a Titan or something.
It's the Jean
You know,
Oh,
in a
no,
manner of
it's not.
speaking.
Okay.
it's the
No,
Jean
I think I
Connie
was
scene.
confusing it with what I saw. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, when they think they're dead, Lamau?
Is he gone yet?
No.
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 Big sad.
Hmm. I think I'm leaving now, though.
All right.
As soon as Bacon got back, I said.
Well, goodbye, Kyle. It was
Okay,
lovely. It was
Bacon, you
lovely. It
remember
was
your
lovely
point?
to speak to you.
I'm sure it was. Bacon, do you remember your point? You got to jump in as soon as I get out.
Yeah, no, I've got this.
Okay.
Is he gone?
No, what?
Oh,
Oh,
what?
No, he's still
Hasn't
there.
left.
He's
I
trying to.
said I was amazed that my reactive image was still there. So that's crazy. But anyway, okay, now I'm leaving. Goodbye.
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 And he is gone. Our pal, he showed up just like the Titans and Paths. He came back one last time.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my word.
So go ahead, Nathan.
And Connie and Sean could stare at him in the sunset together. You know.
Yeah. They
Anyway,
got one
my
last view
amazing
of
point
him.
was, my amazing point was basically is with a montage it helps like you just pull out the action, kind of feel the gravity again in the situation, helps kind of recenter yourself of what's going on here, and help that emotional like punch kind of hit you again. And it's nice. It's easy to get lost in the weeds basically.
Mhm.
That was it.
Yeah. Such a good scene. Such a good scene. Top scene to watch reactions. They should all just timestamp straight to that scene so we don't need to watch them
True.
reacting to the fighting. So I liked Armin's scene in Paths with Mr. Zeke. It was
Yes.
it was pretty similar. There were some really nice visuals though, like the cosmos, and then when they went under the sea, that was all really nicely done. Like there was a bit of it.
I don't know. So you like that? You like that bit where they showed the cosmos and everything?
I thought I did. Am I about to have my opinion changed?
All right. All right. That is my. I have a few sections here about like bad changes. That is a bad change in my opinion. I mean it's very subjective, obviously, but there's two big things that I don't like that they removed. One was the fact that you never see the Earth from like an external perspective. You just see the cosmos. I thought it was really cool to see how like just to recontextualize everything we've seen in the entire story by showing the Earth from like an outsider's perspective. I don't know. I thought that was valuable in the manga, but it was cut out for some reason. I guess it also ties in.
That's a fair point, actually. I've just nipped back to that scene, and you know what? Yeah, the pages are better than the anime. I was saying the anime was fine. I still liked it, but yeah,
I completely agree. It's perfectly fine.
Those pages are fucking goated.
But the terrible thing that I cannot defend, that I hate so much, they removed the little hallucinogenia, not insect, like little sea creature thing. It wasn't in the episode. What a shame.
I mean, I guess
that was
it's
one of the greatest things.
I guess it's meant to be in because we see that shot of it like evolving in real time.
Yeah, indeed. They replaced the like shot of all the different sea life or whatever with that one shot of it's seemingly the shining centipede evolving. It probably makes more sense to have that, and it's like clearer to show it. But I thought seeing the little creature there was cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a hater.
And then Zeke has his little rant about how sex is bad and how everyone should be a volcel. It's true and based, as Kyle would say.
So was he right about the what was his plan? The euthanization plan? Was it the right choice after all?
No, because it was genocide.
Well, I mean, so is the rumbling.
Yeah.
So is the rumbling. Yes, but it doesn't mean either choice is good. Like,
that is true. Very true.
But I think that's one of the things that I think is so interesting about Attack on Titan. It's characters who are placed in a situation where there are no good choices, and they have to just do what they can in basically an impossible situation. And I think where some of the criticism that comes in, and I was having a chat with my friends about this, how some of the criticism stems from bad media analysis. The depiction of a world where there are no good options presented is not an endorsement of any of those options that are taken. It's just depicting it. It's just showing that is the state of the world. It's not casting.
Mm-hmm.
And the most simplistic point of view would be to go with the characters did this, therefore the narrative is justifying this, which is something I fundamentally disagree with about Attack on Titan. I think Attack on Titan shows the true horror of not having a choice, basically. Funnily enough, a story all about freedom.
Yes, I think, like, I've even seen this recent with watching like Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Martin Scorsese film, where people feel a bit odd that oh wait, the guy that I'm watching this perspective through isn't the good guy. Or like it's just really complex, and it's like, and I can totally understand it because you're like watching something and you want to root for something, you want to root for someone, and when you don't have anyone to root for, you can feel a bit lost. And you're like, what's going on here? I'm confused now.
I wonder if I wonder if the shift for that is because something that I think was a big thing back in the mid 2010s was there was a thing where there were a lot of shows where you were watching the perspective of the bad guy, but they were still presented in a way that made them likable, so people kind of didn't really appreciate them. But like, Breaking Bad or The Wolf of Wall Street are two great examples I can think of, where the creators were like, why on earth, no, these characters aren't aspirational, these characters aren't good people, they're awful people. Just because they're likable on a their personality-wise makes them a bit likable doesn't change the fact that they're absolutely appalling human beings and should not be given any kind of actual respect or legitimization. And subtlety is very difficult for a lot of folks, I guess, because we're so used to just in media there being a black and white good guy bad guy dichotomy.
I think. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think it depends like on your state of mind, honestly, while watching something. Like it's almost who you identify with more, maybe. Like, and when you like, I think as a guy, when you see a guy that is doing stupid guy things, so you've seen other things with your mates you want to do, you want to root for them and for them to get better, but then sometimes they are just like, you can't save them at all. Like it's impossible. And so yeah, it becomes a little bit like you kind of like get emotionally inclined towards certain characters, and then you kind of you find yourself in like an emotional no man's land where you don't really care that much about the good guys because you've already spent too much time caring about like emotionally about the bad guy, and then you're like, oh yeah, I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in the moment, then it can be hard to kind of think like back to, oh, okay, yeah, like take your head out of the water and almost have an overviewing. It's like, okay, yeah, this is, why am I looking at this? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's one of those hard things.
I get that, yeah. And I was just looking at the next bit in the video, reminding me of something we didn't discuss in the beginning of the video. So I want to jump back to it really quick. And it was the little extension they did on the scene where Ymir lets the pigs out. And there's a really significant bit in there where you see her walking away and she's smiling. And that is considering we only see her smiling in 2 parts of the entire series, I feel like that's pretty significant.
Yeah, I had that in the interesting changes section of my notes. It absolutely is an interesting change because in the manga, you see like this very close-up shot of her face. Or I think it's like close-up or something, but it's very detailed basically, but it's completely ambiguous as to what her emotion is.
Yeah.
Like you could read it as her being happy, you could read it as being extremely sad as well. But in the anime, it's like unambiguously like she's smiling. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure there's a lot that could be said about that, but it is just that. It is interesting. There's quite a bit of time spent on the pig scene in general, and yeah.
You know what's interesting? Something else I noticed, which is such a weird. There's a few things like this throughout this episode that I'll probably bring up, but the actual pen that the pigs are in, it's slightly different from the last time we saw it, and I don't know why they would like not bother to like go check and make it the exact same. The big thing is that the door opens the like other direction basically, because we've seen this in the past. We saw it in the not Memories of the Future, the 2000 years ago or whatever.
I thought
episode.
I thought they didn't actually show the pigs being let out in that episode. I thought they would.
No, what they showed was the gate being open. That's all we saw.
Oh, okay.
Like we see a picture, we see the gate open, and then we flash to the king being like, "Someone let the pig out" or whatever. And then in this, if you look at the scene, it's like the gate just opens the other way, and I'm like, why would they like mess up such a tiny detail? Maybe because it is a tiny detail, they don't care or whatever.
Maybe the gate does just open both ways.
Yeah, but we've seen it open. Like we saw. I thought the implication was that Ymir opened it, and that's what we were seeing in that scene, like in the previous episode.
Oh, yes, right, yeah.
But maybe not. I guess it could just be like showing us that. I don't know.
I wonder if the manga did it.
It is what it
as
is.
Well. Yeah.
The manga, it looks completely different. Entirely. Yeah. God, it's interesting, these small details.
Yeah. But yeah, it just reminded me of that because Zeke starts talking about the founder Ymir and how she was basically she escaped from death and the fear, how fear is the
Oh yes, and we see the petals in that scene. Is that the scene where we can see like she sees the kiss or whatever?
I think
I think that's what we're thinking of.
I think that is one of the scenes. Yeah.
I think it's when Zeke's talking, and I was so glad. That was the one thing I was like, they better put this in this episode because I have an entire video where I talk about how the petals are important, and they did it. They put the petals falling down when she saw the kiss, and I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful." I love it.
And the scene is framed where she doesn't see anything else around her. It's just her and Fritz kissing the woman, like all the other people who were there at the time. You don't see. It's a really nicely shot scene. Yeah, and we get the return to one of the best shots in the entire series of it's like her with her eyes fully visible, crying, clenching her teeth. Oh, love that shot.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why that chapter, from you 2,000 years ago, is one of my favorites. That shot.
Yep.
Ymir is such a fascinating character. I
Indeed.
And the thing is, I think we get just enough about her. We don't need more. Like, they could arguably make a series, like a short series on like her time helping Marley helping Eldia conquer Marley, but don't need it. It's we get a minuscule amount of information about her, and that's all we need. Everything, so much of it is just characters speculating about her, and it's so great.
Wait, Bacon, what do you think about Ymir? I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about Ymir.
Oh, I have no thoughts about Ymir.
Interesting.
Cringe.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's more. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, like particularly when like Eren like kind of helps understands her better than Zeke initially. I think as we go on, like in the past, like I think it's mainly just the ending that I'm like, the fact that she still what was loved. Oh man, I can't believe I'm
King Fritz.
Yeah, that's it. Fritz. There you go. I think it's just one of those things where like I just gotta accept, but it's not like I'm like, yeah, that's a
Don't get me
vibe.
wrong. I feel like there is maybe a different conclusion. Like I kind of liked the idea. I did kind of like the idea of Ymir being the one pulling all the strings to just to end the humanity that caused her so much suffering. But also I think that in itself would be a bit dodgy purely because it's like, oh yeah, the slave girl decides to genocide the world. It's like in revenge. It's like, no, that's I don't know. I can understand frustrations with that being the ultimate thing about like the prison of love or whatever. But
I think you basically need to, I don't know, maybe spend more time like.
How
do you say it? Like,
I still maintain that Isayama needed like 3 or 4 or 5 more chapters. I think. I know he wanted 139 for a whole bunch of thematic reasons, but he needed a few more chapters, I think, to clean up some of the ending stuff. The anime does a really good job of cleaning up the ending as well.
Yeah, I think it's more like, if you're gonna make someone like if it felt like it was almost thrown on us that Ymir loved King Fritz, and it's like, could
absolutely
you somehow give us more?
There were the petals, Bacon, the petals and the embers. That was the whole point. I mean, that was the anime, though. In fairness, I could see it that being the case in the manga, but in the anime, it was very clear, in my opinion.
Yes, but I'm talking like, if you could convince me more emotionally that like, yes, she definitely does. Like, I don't know, like.
Well, I don't think she loved Fritz.
Her pain. Okay.
I guess maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is. I don't know why I'm couching. I'm confident. Like she didn't love Fritz. I think she just wanted love, basically. Like I think that's the whole like what we see here when they're talking about like what did Ymir want? She wanted connection with other people. She just wanted to be loved, basically. And the only love she ever found was through this cruel person who was doing terrible things, and that's why, like, she's like I don't know, doing all these. She's not passing on or whatever, and she's living in paths is because she wasn't able to find love in any other way throughout her life. I don't know if I want to tie this in with the ending and everything, but I don't know. I think it works very well.
I think
I don't know. Maybe I can't explain it
I think
properly.
it kind of. I think it's one of those ones where it's not explicit. It's like I feel like someone out there will make a really good video essay and it will be incredible. And it will be like when I finished Evangelion and had to go watch a video essay to understand why my brain was a puddle at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I just wonder, and I think I said this in my video, which I was reviewing everybody, and I'll say it again here. I think with Attack on Titan, and maybe I could be wrong with this, and I'm not remembering it correctly, but for every single reveal, it feels very easy to grasp.
Mm-hmm.
Evangelion, how it sets up how it's going on, same thing as like something like Serial Experiment Lane, is that you're going to have to do a bit more inference. And I think for Attack on Titan to kind of drop this on you, and it's a bit harder to get yourself in the frame of mind like, oh, I was expecting a bit more of a simple answer rather than a lot of esoteric wording of describing certain things, where it is kind of hard for you then to be like, hang on, I don't actually get it. And often I don't feel like Attack on Titan has made me feel that before. And so then that almost a conflict in tones makes people feel like this is way more messy and not as clean as Attack on Titan is normally being, and it's worse than it normally is, rather than being, because you've been taught to use a certain lens, and then you're having to change your lens of how you're viewing it halfway through, and then it gets a bit confusing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand that. I can understand that for sure.
I think personally, when it comes to reveals, at least the reveal of Ymir, I think the important thing is the emotion rather than the like cognitive understanding of what is happening, I guess. Like what I would want is someone to get to the point where we get the reveal at the end that that Ymir loves King Fritz or whatever. We get that like plot twist reveal kind of thing. And you should be feeling something in that moment. Now the question is like, what do you feel? Like, did you feel anything? Did you just feel confusion? If you feel confusion, then yeah, I guess I would agree that it's not clear enough. For me, like, I guess, I don't know. Like, I wonder if it's just because I've spent too much time thinking about it. Like, maybe in the first viewing, you just can't piece it. Like,
I'm struggling to
feel
remember
anything in that moment.
I'm trying to remember what I felt the first time I read that chapter. Because I think I must have read that chapter, 3 times
Sure.
the day it came out. So by the end of that day, I'd already, rebuilt my opinion multiple times. I think I've read the final chapter of Attack on Titan like 6 times at this point.
Right.
And so it's hard to even know what my initial thoughts on it were. My first thoughts on it were.
And I think for Attack on Titan, what often it does well, and what often lots of shows that are, I mean, lots of things that, are really good, but like things that are particularly appealing to a wider audience, like Attack on Titan, is that it wants to hit you with the double punch. It wants to hit you with that first punch of you being like, oh my word, what a reveal. Like, I understand it totally, but then you go back again and you rewatch it, and then there's another layer to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Attack on Titan has done. And when we are fans of this show, as we are, we spend a lot of time, thinking about it, and we're always kind of almost experiencing it on that level 2 moment, that second time round moment. I shouldn't say level 2, that means something different in these cohorts. And then you're already in that mindset, but then when you're like not super, like, you're like, oh, I'm just watching Attack on Titan again after when it's coming out, I'm not binge watching it all again, and then it gets a bit confusing. And I mean, it's all these things that you have to weigh up as countless decisions as a writer, and some of it's outside of ECM's control, like the release schedule probably of like this final season and stuff.
Yeah.
And so people come into it. Because I had a mate who's very much like a normie viewer. He doesn't really think too much about stuff, but he has this very strong sense of, oh, that's really cool, I like that, or that's not so cool, I don't like that, or she's cool, or he's cool, or he's lame, or she's lame, or whatever, right? And basically they came in and they're like, man, I just found that last episode really boring. and I think it's like, I think the amount of internal monologues, like, for them was too much. And to be fair, if they watched the dub, and it maybe it's a bit too deep for them. And I personally, like, I love the Arm and Zeke conversation. and all that stuff. I don't think we've gone into that yet, but it's, I don't know, like to me that is like. But then I had other mates who had been following it for a while, and they like both liked it. That had watched the anime like just one bit at a time. One guy has been following it for 10 years, and then he was like, "Yeah, no, I like that ending. It was good." But yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
interesting.
there was
to hear
never a
the difference
point where
of
I
opinion,
disliked
guess.
the ending for sure. Like when I was reading it, I think I gave the final chapter like a 7 out of 10, whilst all the previous chapters have been solid 10s up to that point. So it definitely was weaker than in my opinion at the time, it was weaker than what had led up to it, but it was still good. The anime, I think, if the manga had the anime ending, it would have been a 10 for me. But we'll get into that in a bit, I'm sure. But
let's continue on. Because I feel like
Yeah.
I'm jumping the gun here. I don't know if we want to go more freeform or.
I mean, we
bit
could
by
do.
bit.
We can sort of fly through. We're at 36 minutes out of 1.5 hours, basically.
Yeah.
Then there's basically just the bit where we've got Armin and Zeke are talking. Armin brings up the baseball analogy, brings up racing to the tree, and then Zeke sees the baseball, and then there's the reveal of the Titan shifters with with Kruger there for some reason. I saw a lot of people online. I saw Titan folk going fucking wild again because they're like, Kruger would have agreed with the rumbling, and it's like, no, he fucking wouldn't. You can't liberate.
God.
You can't get freedom for the Eldian people if you rumble most of them. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think Kruger being there was a bit weird anyway, because I don't really think he had much to do with Zeke or Armin. All the other characters make sense, but I guess they wanted to bring them back. I was sort of postulating before this, like, wouldn't it have been cool if we'd had like Frida and Uri, because we've seen them in the series as well, for no good reason. But
actually, this is a question. What was Titan folks' reaction? Like, is it still just a toxic?
They're melting down. They already, I think they fucking hate that the ending was changed again to make it even more anti-genocide. So yeah. I've not been on it too much but every time I see a post pop up, it's just, it's meltdown every single time.
I've literally clicked on the first thing and it's making fun of Moist Critical and saying Jacksepticeye.
Oh, it's so great. I'm so glad that Moist Critical ended up saying he liked it. So, because Titan Folk was waiting, they're like, he's gonna hate it, and here we are, he likes it. And I'm so happy.
I don't think I've seen a single anime. I don't think I've seen a single anime watcher who's disliked Attack on Titan's ending, and it's really satisfying to see that. And it's so funny. I saw something, I think it might have been on the Shingeki no Kyojin Reddit instead, where it was like, watching anime reactions really puts into perspective how fucking over the top and stupid this community was when speculating all the shit to do with Historia's baby and everything, because the anime viewers just didn't give a fuck about any of that.
Bacon had a nice rant about this yesterday, didn't you, Bacon? In that video.
Which one?
Talking about how what led up to the ending being so controversial, and
what do you think of it? Sorry, I can't remember.
No, I think it makes sense about like the build up between chapters and reinforcing your kind of opinions and being like disappointed when things don't go the way you had built up in your head and things like that. Like whereas in the anime it's kind of like it's less like that because the release periods are different and you're not building up things month to month. And
Yeah. Oh, I see where you may have got this fake news that Giga. I guess Giga didn't understand the ending, but he's not hating on the ending. He's just saying, it wasn't. He said so. He describes it as, and they've clipped out probably something, but he said it wasn't a 10 out of 10 landing. It's like he uses like this clip of a gymnast who's almost looking like it's falling over, but she still lands the gymnastic flip. So, a bit of a middle road opinion. I think, it's interesting. Yeah, I shouldn't have actually had a look on this because I'm pretty sure
you'll ruin your brain.
Yeah,
you'll absolutely ruin your brain.
I think it is a shame. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I'm glad with Vinland Saga what we do. We read the chapter and get hyped for 3 days, and then we just go back into our real lives to touch some grass, and then come back again when the next chapter comes out. Because there's literally not a big enough community to sustain like constant speculation and enough news to maintain constant speculation. So,
and I guess Vinland Saga. I mean, I haven't really read that much. I've only seen season 1. Vinland Saga strikes me as more historical fiction than Attack on Titan, which is just pure fantasy. I might be wrong in that assumption.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. There's there's not like I've got my special Viking bloodline, which makes me transform into big angry berserker man.
Yeah, there's not a 2,000-year-old magic monster conspiracy in Vinland Saga.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
Yeah, yeah. There are some moments that are yeah. I think it's more like in Vinland Saga. It's it has a similar thing where it's like there are different perspectives on the ending. Not on the ending, but like from characters in the story, and people argue for those characters basically on who's right, who's wrong. But it's just not toxic yet, and I don't know how. Yeah, like it wasn't. Ari, was it toxic after the last chapter? You didn't even see that most recent chapter, right? You've not read it, have you? Or are you waiting for
Vinland Saga?
Back? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I read it.
Make a video on it. Oh yeah, you did read it. Yeah, there was a little bit of like hating on certain characters, and other than it was like Twitter was kind of funny because you got loads of stands of like the characters where they like simp super hard for them, which is fair, valid. Like Joy OC's, kissing random Vinland Saga characters. Go ahead, more power to you. It's absolutely fine. I don't want to act like I'm like gatekeep on anything, but like it's one of those things when you start like people are like, oh no, but this character is like, they're fighting for their husband in a way, and that's fine. But anyway, it's one of those things where like there you got that almost extra emotional investment, but then everybody's so chill somehow. Like I think it's because there's like literally only 50 people reading this manga.
Right, like, it probably is that. Yeah,
it's like everybody's a community. So if you say something bad, you'll see them again. Like the animosity doesn't exist. Anonymity, not animosity. So it is very funny. But yeah, it actually makes the conversations pretty good as far as I can tell. It just means they're really short. Like, yeah. But
there's probably also something to say about memes, I guess. Like meme, I don't know, because certain ideas or takes of characters can get portrayed in memes. Like for instance, that one, I don't know if you'd say this as a meme or not, but the fact that Eren punches the Warhammer Titan before it transforms, and there's like a meme of like comparing Eren to like Goku or something, who like waits for everyone to transform. And that idea obviously propagates throughout the entire internet based on like a meme edit or something. And the more like weird like meme edits you see, which are like convincing on face value, but like when you think more about like certain like ideas and themes or whatever they kind of break down, I don't know, people like really are invested in these ideas, I guess. I don't know, and memes propagate.
Memes allow the spread of brain rot.
Yeah, here's another one with Attack on Titan. So it's like people like we were talking about earlier about how we think the dub slaps. But then people be like the dub's bad because they've got like 2 clips of Eren saying, I want to kill them all.
Sure.
And then the other one of Armin screaming. And that's like for 2013 and people have just cut it out and like not of context, but like, well, yes, out of context. Because when you're watching an anime or anything acted and then people just take a scene, you haven't had that whole emotional built up. And then of course it's going to be more jarring. And so then that becomes a meme and then everybody's like, oh, the Attack on Titan dub.
It's just funny though that they do that because
you've literally seen 1 second from one episode and that's just how it is. Like
every single meme edit every single edit I've ever seen of anything to do with Erwin, they always use his dub speech from Return to Shiganshina because they don't want to put the they don't want to put the subtitles in.
Yeah, well, it's also because I mean, Raika, I don't know if you saw my video, but I found online when someone edited out the music for the dub speech, I was like, hey, I'll just slot this in with my little AMV at the end. And to be fair, it doesn't thematically like really work with what I was saying in the video, but I was like, man, it is good.
Yeah, I've seen your videos. I noticed that you were using the dub speech. Yeah, everyone uses the dub speech because it's so fucking good. Anyway, we're kind of derailing a bit here. We should probably we've still got more than half an episode to get through.
J. Michael Tatum.
True.
He does Okabe and Steins Gate and a load of other characters. He also does Scar and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is crazy range. Anyway, you very good voice actor.
I've realized that the big joke will be, because I'm going to be editing this, I'm going to probably release it in 2 parts. It'll be the final discussion part 1 and the final discussion part 2.
That's
Awesome.
That'll be very good.
I'll
cut it here.
No, maybe I'll cut it at the halfway point of the actual episode. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be a completely inelegant cut. I can guarantee that, but I'll figure it out.
That'd be very funny.
Anyway, so we see all the Titan shifters looking sad. And then we get the moment where everyone's about to die. And again, because of the nature of animation, it's a bit weird because it's like, oh, okay, we literally see Peak and Jean about to die, but then we still have about 10 seconds of Annie being beaten up first. And it's like these 2 things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
And we get the really fucking weird shot. I saw a bunch of people actually talking about this, where in that shot where a bunch of Titans are running towards Annie, one of them's a dog, just literally a dog on 4 legs. And people were like, oh my god.
that elephant.
Yeah, but people were just like, oh my god. People who sort of, when they saw the very end, they were like, oh wow, it's like, is it some weird cyclical thing? Because like we see a dog we see a dog that looks similar to it at the end of the at the end
funny.
at the end of the shot. I'll post the image, the shot specifically for you guys, and obviously the audience. You'll be able to see it, but it's like,
Oh wow, that really is a dog. Jesus.
yeah, because I hadn't seen the elephant or anything. That was the first sort of actual, just full on, just animal Titan that I'd seen. Again, one thing we need to remember is that for the 9 Titans, they weren't always. I mean, they weren't always the 9. We don't know when 1 became 3 became 9. We can assume that 1 became 3 when Ymir's daughters ate her spine, but when did those 3 split into 9? Were there other sort of midpoint splits? Like, was the beast, the sort of the beast origin, even more beast than before? Like,
Yeah, maybe.
it's just an interesting thing.
I think. Yeah, one thing I actually wanted to comment about that picture that you just sent is I loved how that guy was running in the middle, like he was like jumping sideways. Like, is this? I did kind of like how they almost brought back. I think in some ways, like the really creepy running that.
Yeah,
that
some of the abnormal
which I
Titan
forgot about.
behaviors rather than shifter behaviors.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it's getting more desperate, so they're creating them faster and not having enough time to, I don't know, give them a. I don't know, but I'm sure there's an analysis you could make for that. And then obviously Bertolt comes in and saves the day by swinging his arms. Again, I think a bit different. I think from the manga. I think the manga he kind of just smashes them all, but
Yeah.
it's still awesome. And then we just get to see all the Titans coming in to help, getting to see all the anime onlys getting really confused about Cassava's Titan because they just seem to forget that he exists. Whilst we as manga readers would begging to see Cassava's Titan. The moment we saw the goat, we were like, "That's Cassava. That's awesome." Because I think the big speculation up to that point was that he was going to be like a whale or a dolphin or something, because he said he's not useful, and there was a whale in the season 2 opening. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember. That was the discussion I remember seeing on Reddit at the time, anyway, about what Cassava's Titan might be. And then the anime, they foreshadowed it by, in his background, they put a goat plushie in his flashback to when his wife died. Kickstarting any memories? Okay, no, we'll move on. We'll move on quick.
No, I'm sorry. I should be probably looking through that short episode with you so I can remember. But
that's fine. That's no problem. Yeah, I guess in that bit in general, Titan Shifter's coming back. Ari, anything? We've got the Okapi Titan getting sniped by FaZe Gabby, as all the reactors keep calling her.
True. I thought that was great. You know, Gabby gets to do her little part in this conclusion. And I completely forgot about her shooting it. It was great to see it.
And the cute little thing of like Levi holding her to steady her so she can get a better shot. So he gets to participate in that as well. It's very cute.
Yep.
We get to see that starting point of Levi carrying, and then Armin being a badass, blowing it up. The Annie Armin reunion, really fucking cute.
Yeah.
And actually, something I really liked as that we didn't get as much of in the manga, because the manga was really quick the way the other Titans helped, is seeing the fighting styles, like how we see Kruger break a Titan over his back. That was so fucking cool. because that's what
that is actually really sick.
that's what
isn't
you did
it?
with like the boat, and then we see like Grisha just
Yeah.
smash two heads together, and yeah, oh, it's awesome.
Wait, have we gone over the Zeke Levi moment yet?
No, that's coming. That's up next. That's
Okay.
the next bit.
Man, oh,
Well, because Levi and Gabby are like,
Oh.
"Oh my god, the Titans are helping us. Why?" And then we get Zeke, and they gave him an ass. They gave him a perfectly rendered ass.
dude, yeah.
Sorry,
It was,
Neil, I've spoken a lot about that
Yeah,
last
it
week.
was something I was like, man, I actually get the Zeke Levi fan fictions now.
Mhm.
That guy was like, "Oh, Levi," like I just love the voice actor. It was so funny. I was like, "This is
Yep.
Zeke."
Yeah, it's great. It's a good scene, but I'll let you guys talk a little bit about that one because I just waxed lyrical there about
Alright.
the Titan scene.
Let me say that I did not like the Zeke scene here. Right, this is in my bad changes section.
No.
Yeah, because and it's not even like they didn't really make a change. It's just the way it's like directed, I guess. Because in the manga, I really like how just how it's just the speed, not even the speed of it. It's like when you see it in the manga, you see the whole landscape, you see all of Levi's expression, and you see Zeke in the background. It's just like a really informative shot, I guess. Whereas in the anime, the way they do it is that they focus on Zeke's head, which is fine. You then get Levi to like come in and drop it off, basically, which is also fine. And then you get very zoomed in, like cropped shot of Levi's face, and you can hardly, at least in my opinion, it's dark. It's very cropped. You can't see his mouth or anything. And it's very hard to understand what he's feeling in that moment, I guess. It just he seems like crazed or something. Whereas in the manga, I feel like you see his entire like posture and like actual face, like entire face and everything, and it seems much. I don't know. It's clearer,
there's
I
like,
guess.
Yeah, I just had a look at the manga there. Yeah, there's like almost like more of a solemnness to it than an anger.
Yeah.
No, I can
Exactly.
totally understand that. Yeah, because I saw what else was. I was literally about to say something there. I mean, it does cut then after to his whole face, but again, yeah, you're right. It's dark. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, no, I also agree. I thought like the manga had like almost like a better like ping
And again,
through his neck
the
from like a
manga,
wide shot to like a close shot. of
Zeke's
him.
decapitation in the manga was a page turn. You page turned
Yeah.
to him having his head cut off.
Mm.
It's like genuinely the
That's-
pages. Like what you see is. Come on, let me find it. I had it a second ago. Yeah, it's over so quickly in the manga, as you said. So yeah, it's like literally the final panel of the pages. I suppose after all the killing I've done, that's too much to ask. And then literally just almost 2/3 of a page is just Levi cutting his head off. And then like the final third is Levi's expression after doing so.
I did it better. What?
Sorry?
I'm referring
True.
to my amazing AMV, my MMV.
Oh, okay.
I did it better because they used the manga, of course.
Indeed.
Better.
But not always. There are some good changes I've got in my notes. We'll get to.
Again,
No, great
Mm.
changes.
yeah, that was fine. The rumbling ends. We get the black and white scene returns to color. That's
God, it's so great.
yeah. Titans all just standing there. I do wonder if we ever get to a point where if the people in them do appear, we get. Oh, and then of course we move on. We get Jean getting his hero moment. We get fucking awesome music playing. I know a load of people were like, the anime community was all freaking out when the music played. I had brain rot and struggled to remember which other stuff that song had been used for, but yeah, it's just a really awesome scene of like, yeah, he's sort of he's flying on the skeleton, and then like Marcel and Porco come in and stop a couple of Jaw Titans, and then there's one that's about to get him, and then Peak jumps in and smashes it, and he's like, fucking got it. It's awesome. And then he has his little moment where he calls Eren a suicidal dumbass.
Yeah. I prefer suicidal blockhead, but
It might,
that's okay.
yeah. It changes a lot. I mean, this particular sub that I've got up on my screen right now, they call him a idiot with a death wish. I don't know where the subtitle comes from, but it's bad. The subbed version I have at the moment is not good. I'm really looking forward to when they release the Blu-ray complete collection, and I can just buy the whole thing as a one box set. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're pretty much, after he blows up Aaron, we pretty much hit the halfway point of the episode.
Jesus.
And we enter into what is definitely the better half of the episode.
I agree. Yep. Do you agree, Bacon?
Do I agree? Dude, it was all good.
All right,
that's my opinion. I don't actually have a distinct feeling which part was better, but I enjoyed the whole
The
thing.
better half, which we will talk about in the next video, everybody.
Whoa. Come back in 8 months.
Yeah, when I
Yep.
finally finish editing it.